What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going through my Week 3 top 12 defense rankings. I've already gone through the running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and tight ends. Thinking about maybe doing some flex rankings tomorrow. Still up in the air, but potentially stay tuned for that. But let's just dive right into the defense rankings. I feel like there's a pretty strong top 8 options, and then I think you kind of hit a wall, and then you're getting into some of the more questionable plays. But in tier 1, I just have the Green Bay Packers in a tier by themselves going up against the Browns. This is obviously the combination you're looking for of a truly top tier defense paired with a super favorable matchup, and that is what you have here with the Packers going up against the Browns. The Browns have the lowest implied point total, only 17 points per Vegas. The Packers so far this season are second in sacks, and then defenses going up against the Browns have scored the 6th most points per game to start off the season. Super quality option here with the Packers. Then in tier 2, I have 2 teams in this tier. The first one is going to be the Buffalo Bills going up against the Dolphins. They had a really nice bounce back game defensively. Obviously, week 1, super tough matchup going up against the Ravens. Gave up, I want to say, 40 points, but they bounced back in week 2, completely shut down the Jets. I mean, Justin Fields, into the fourth quarter there, I don't even think he had 50 passing yards on the day. So it was a super impressive performance from this defense. The Dolphins have the 3rd lowest implied point total. Defenses going up against the Dolphins are averaging the 2nd most points per game. And then it's just tough to trust this Dolphins team. I mean, you do have weapons around Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, but it seems like Tua's always live to have some sort of super costly mistake or mistakes. So I like the Bills here at number 2. Then at number 3, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. They had a super dominant defensive performance against the Vikings. 6 sacks on J.J. McCarthy, forced 4 turnovers. I like this matchup here against the Panthers. They have not looked great offensively. Did kind of come back in the week 2 game against the Cardinals, but looked pretty miserable for, the majority of that matchup. Defenses going up against the Panthers are scoring the 3rd most points per game. And then the Panthers O-line is banged up. They had 2 starters on the O-line that went on IR. This Falcons pass rush is one of the best units in the league. Big upgrade this offseason, especially in the draft, mixed with, the offensive line issues for the Panthers. I think the Falcons are a really strong play. Then moving into tier 3, I'm going to start off with the Vikings going up against the Bengals. Now, it does feel a little bit sketchy to play a defense against the Bengals because even though Joe Burrow's out, Jake Browning has shown that he can lead a competent offense. You still have really strong weapons at the wide receiver position with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, but I do like this Vikings defense. Even last week, we did see Browning, even though he was able to put up points, he still did turn the ball over 3 times, 3 interceptions. The Bengals are tied for the 5th lowest implied point total, and the Vikings haven't necessarily forced the turnovers early on this season that they were able to do last year, but they're going to throw a lot of looks at you. They're just going to make it tough on opposing offenses, and even though they gave up 22 points to the Falcons, they held really strong near the red zone, held them to field goals, and obviously they were not helped out with their offense, just racking up time on the clock. And then also, they were just put in a ton of bad situations with the different turnovers. So I'm going to have the Vikings leading this tier. Then in the number 5 spot, I have the Seahawks taking on the Saints. So far this season, the Seahawks are 2nd in points per game. The Saints have the 2nd lowest implied point total. And then the Seahawks have only given up 17 points in back-to-back games. I will say the Saints offense has looked a little bit more competent than I was expecting heading into the season. Rattler's coming off a pretty solid performance, but this offense still does not scare me. I do trust the Seahawks defense. I like them here in tier 3. Then I'm going to go with the Buccaneers going up against the Jets. Right before I started recording this video, we got the news that Justin Fields is going to be out this week with a concussion. Now, I still think the Bucs would have been a solid play with Fields starting, but I also think it just really lowers the ceiling of this Jets offense. Tyrod Taylor is a competent backup, but I don't think he has the ability to come in here and just light up a defense like we saw Justin Fields do week 1 against the Steelers. The Jets have the 4th lowest implied point total. We've seen the Buccaneers defense come out, have a decent start to the season. They've held the Texans and the Falcons to a combined 39 points. Really nice option this week. Also in tier 3, I have the Chiefs going up against the Giants. The Giants are tied for the 5th lowest implied point total. kind of, bipolar offensive performances from this team. Week 1, they looked completely miserable against the Commanders, only scored 6 points. They come back week 2 and just have like an offensive masterclass, 37 points against the Cowboys. You have Russell Wilson throwing for 400 plus yards. You have Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson logging these monster games. So they did show that they have a little bit of a ceiling week to week, but this Chiefs defense is solid. I still like them here to kind of win out in this matchup against the Giants offense. And then the last team in this tier, and also I think like the last team that's just like a really strong start this week, is the Colts going up against the Titans. The Titans have not hit 20 points in back-to-back games. Defenses going up against the Titans are averaging the 4th most points per game. And then Cam Ward, this offensive line, they're struggling. He's been sacked 11 times in the first 2 games. I think this Colts defense is very solid. I think it's a nice matchup. So that is why they slot in there in tier 3. And then the 4th and final tier, I'm not saying these teams are unplayable, but I do think there's kind of like a real clear tier break from tier 3 to tier 4. And if I was going to add more defenses, you can make the case for a lot of other defenses slotting in here from like the 9 to 12 spots. Starting off tier 4, I'm going to go with the Jaguars going up against the Texans. The Jaguars defense from a fantasy perspective has been pretty solid to start off the season. They are 4th in points per game. They have 5 interceptions through 2 weeks. And then this Texans offense just has not looked great. They've put up 9 and 19 points in the first 2 weeks. So it's a combination of the Jaguars defense having some all right showings to start off the season, at least in terms of forcing turnovers, and then the Texans just not really looking like a team that can really burn you early on in the season. Then I have the Commanders going up against the Raiders. I mean, this was a brutal week 2 performance from this Raiders offense. Geno Smith, want to say he had over 40 pass attempts, didn't hit 200 passing yards, 3 picks. I mean, it was truly a brutal outing on Monday Night Football. They only have 20.75 implied points. We saw the Commanders defense week 1 hold the Giants to 6 points. Obviously not as great of a performance against the Packers, but that is a different level of offense. I think they're fine if you can't get one of those top 8 options. Then I have the Niners going up against the Cardinals. The Niners are 1st in fumble recoveries, 2nd in forced fumbles. This is kind of like good defense versus average-ish offense kind of matchup here. You don't feel amazing about it, but it's all right. And then we're going to close it out here with the Eagles going up against the Rams. The Rams don't project super well per Vegas, 20.5 implied points. This is a good Eagles defense. Obviously, you run the risk of Matthew Stafford having a big game with Javonte Adams, Puka Nacua, but as like a back-end defense 1, I think the Eagles are certainly playable. And so that is going to wrap it up for my top 12. Like I said, ideally you have one of the options in the top 8. Think those are all really solid plays. Once you're getting into tier 4, kind of sketchy territory, but some of those defenses could definitely end up coming through. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.